I think a lot of it's.
What's
coming up, right? I mean,
The budget meeting is a
Next
public
week we
hearing,
send out absentee ballots.
and it's the electors that vote.
I don't know. It's-
That is one way to do it. I just thought the optics were bad, but I'm hearing that the delay might be worse. I don't know, your thoughts?
I think the delay would be worse, I mean, we're looking at, I'm looking at an October increase in medical supplies of 8 to 16%. How much of inflation is going to affect the projection of building? You know, I would love to, again, perhaps have an open house, make a presentation to as many people in the public as we could get, and have the public vote at either a special, meeting of the electors, or even at the public hearing for the budget.
You're thinking earlier.
I'm saying earlier.
The open house deal, I mean, we had one for the town hall, we had 36 people, okay, that was publicized, beyond publicized, okay? So people don't necessarily come to that because you're not voting there. If you're voting, then they're gonna show up, and that's where either the budget hearing or a special meeting elected before the budget meeting. So I guess it would be possible. What is the
As long
public?
as we think we have our correct numbers, because we don't wanna do the same thing we just did, you know, I mean, I think we were a little, it was more, it was a basic idea, there was no detail in it, and all of a
Well,
sudden.
here's the
voting.
reality. We had a hailstorm where I live on June 10th. You got everyone out within a couple weeks for new roofs, new siding, new windows. I haven't gotten any of those three yet, and they're projecting, I won't get siding until January. Roofing, they might get done by the end of the year. There's a 12 to 16 month, backup on the windows they need for my house.
Not me.
Month.
And that's,
Appliances are out, depending on what you're ordering, 12 to 18 months.
Yeah,
So regardless of when you have this hearing, if you're rushing to have it done this November, my guess is they're not gonna be able to start construction till after the annual meeting anyway, if they're,
but at
this
least,
is the same as what I'm hearing from other
Right.
contractors. And the cost of equipment and supplies is gonna be higher.
exactly.
but the thing about waiting till April to approve it is then you're adding 6 more months or 5 more months. Whereas if you approve it sooner with a special meeting of the electors, you at least know you can move forward, you start getting the contractors in lined up, and they can get stuff ordered, you know, I mean, versus waiting till April, you're now 5 months further behind in your supply chain issues and things like that.
How good are those costs going to be? How long can they hold those?
Well, there's no bid here. It's the
Right.
estimate
This is
from
an
the
estimate.
professional.
There's no actual shit.
And, you know, his numbers are 200 for the shell, 200 to 300 to finish it all total with everything else. So it's 400 to 500, so you'd be looking at 500.
But Joe, I think you're making the same mistake again. You gotta get a design and then have multiple bids. Until you do that, you don't know. I mean, what you quoted,
But we
4 to
can't,
5, you can't take that to the electors.
no, but we can't do what you're saying either. We can't bid it out, and then we'll tell contractors, well, thanks for the bid. We just need it. the
Things with a
information.
bid of 450, we got 200 to spend.
And you can't bid it without, you know, the authorization anyway.
But
We need the authorization.
Didn't you?
To bid it.
We have the authorization.
You know,
For
the
two.
authorization.
To go forward with the building for 200. So
Correct.
you have authorization to go forward with plans, as long as they cost less than 200,000.
This is public comments now.
Oh, you're not gonna,
You get the second,
Bill,
we're not gonna resolve it here anyway. Okay,
Bill, do you have your thoughts?
Just, the urgency for me is, that space right there, that's the building inspector's office. Your court clerk, planning commissioner, secretary, on the other end of the building, and the judge's chamber. We plan on vacating space that the police department currently houses, to give these two people offices where they can
Real
work.
offices.
We have crowding of our vehicles that are extremely expensive. We have needs to heat those vehicles. A squad car needs to be protected. It's a huge investment. We have evidence rooms that are not good enough. So I think we could convince the electorate that there's a job that needs to be done. That I think they'll give us the money if we give them the message. And I think the sooner rather than later on this, because costs are gonna escalate.
And DPW benefits, and then also records for police could be maintained in that storage space on the second, in the trusses, instead of in the basement that floods.
I don't wanna all be a part of the message at when we decide what we want. Obviously, there's gonna be a statement and a whole list of needs of what, and the benefits of all of it, but. I agree, Bill, I said it before, I don't think it's gonna be an issue of people understanding that this is a necessity for us, it's making sure they have all the information that, and why we need it, and why we've come to this conclusion, so.
You might wanna consider a visual aspect of relaying the board message in terms of necessity. And maybe do, if you can, some sort of video of what the police department actually looks like, the space they have. The, little closet that Jen is in, you know, that serves as her office and the judge's chambers. I mean, that same corner back there is my desk for doing pre-trials for court. I mean, obviously I don't need my own office, but, you know, if the building inspector has designated space, there's a little more privacy. There's people sitting out here listening to my pre-trial with another defendant. Is there anything wrong with that? Technically, no, but I don't think, unless you're familiar with the building, you're gonna have an understanding of what the board knows. That has to be communicated somehow, and I don't know how to do it other than visually.
Well, we certainly could put a video on the website and Facebook. So we have two more improved ways of getting that message out that we didn't have a year ago.
This would have to be probably the first 2 weeks of November. Because public hearing is the
No.
election day is the 8th,
Right.
right? So we're talking about either the first week or,
No, there'll be a lot of absentee, in-person absentee going on the first week of November.
so again, if you're trying to get it in before our budget
When's the
public
election?
hearing,
The election's the 8th.
and our budget public hearing is the 14th.
For your budgeting, I mean, is it an issue to move our November meeting to the 21st?
So when?
A week later, the 21st? Our November town board
Statutorily, we have to have a public hearing for the budget.
Right, that's what I'm asking the timeline.
As long as it's noticed, posted 15 days prior, we're good.
Okay,
So it could be moved to
Could
the
be.
21st. It just affects the timeline of everything I have to get to the county and stuff like that.
That's what I meant, what time do you need?
But-
So we could Thanksgiving.
It is the week of Thanksgiving.
it is.
It's the 21st is the Monday for Thanksgiving. I believe I have to have everything to the county either the 2nd or 9th of December. They haven't given us the deadline yet. Last year it was December 3rd.
Well, what if instead of, or in addition to calling it the public budget hearing, it is also a special meeting of the electors? Is it public?
It already is.
Right.
It's a,
But
It
they
starts off as-
publish it, Right,
it's the public hearing
right. at
where
5:30.
people ask questions about the budget. Then it's a meeting of the electors, then it's a special town board meeting, reviewing the resolution.
So in the meeting of the electors, you could add to the agenda.
Which is what I said previously at the last meeting.
But
Yeah, but I think just to make it very clear, the special meeting of the, that we will be voting on, like Joe said, that makes a difference.
And the last time I did that, I put in bold print, town hall building, put it in the paper 2 weeks in a row, and we had 8 people.
Well, we're.
But we'll also
there's-
put it on the website, we'll put it on the Facebook. I think we have a lot more vehicles now of information,
Yeah, absolutely.
to get information out there than we
But-
previously
We
had.
have the Facebook page of the police department.
But even
Then we
if,
have 5 board members versus 3, so that's that much more word of mouth as well.
so aren't we, like, John Becker was just saying, and we've been saying, we also don't want to, we don't wanna be in the same situation, is do we really think that we can have a number or
Well, what are we gonna do besides T-Bone and Henry for our number?
God.
That's
What
what we
more
have.
can we do?
What more to do, you could actually hire a professional estimator to come up with a harder number, by harder number, I'm saying a lot more detail. His is good detail because he's been doing this for 50 years, okay? The professional estimators, that's all they do, and we actually had that done,
what's that?
for the town hall. And I believe the line item on that one was, 8,000, I believe, at the time, walked downstairs. So it'd probably be $10,000 to get another estimate, neutral, okay? And again, that's still an estimate, it's still subject to the bidding environment, it's still subject to the cost of materials, it's still subject to the time of year.
There's no way you're getting any of that.
No, you can't bid a thing just to say, I'm gonna bid
What do
it,
you want?
just to get an estimate, just to get a number. Yes, it's a harder number.
Well, eventually we're gonna spend $10,000 because we need everything in fine print, but we'll never get that, we would never get that before that timeline.
But you're gonna get it from a contractor.
Yeah, this
We
is.
have an
I
estimator.
know we have 10,000 on the pocket timeline.
Right.
You're gonna spend it anyway.
Right, but you're not gonna spend it on an estimator, you're gonna spend it on a contractor giving you a proposal.
Well,
They're
that's
gonna
not,
bid.
Contractors don't necessarily cost you anything, if you have,
Right.
Cause then we have to have the
they're
specs.
bidding on what the estimator put together.
That was the problem with our first estimate, is we didn't have the detailed specs, that's what T-Bone and Henry told us. We didn't specify the insulation requirements, the drywall requirements, the concrete depth, you know, the wiring and the heating, any of that kind of stuff. So we have to have that specs if you wanna get bids.
And bid apples to apples.
right, and that, again, that would be a different cost, that would be the design and construction fee from, say, a Key or Henry.
Right, that's what
And
he
that's,
said. would
that's
be much
included,
more.
okay? That is not anything more, and it's not a pre-construction estimate, you already did it. You did it, you had it, okay? But again, all the variables that you have in there, are you gonna get a better number? Yeah, is it gonna be a number that's worth
Locked in.
$10,000 and locked in? No. Bidding is not rocket science, it comes
So
down to
that's-
all those things, that's it.
That's ready to go to give to a contractor to bid out for what we need.
No,
Okay.
no,
Who does that?
it'll be the architect that you hire to put the plans together and bid.
What's that?
Similar to what we did with the back.
What's that cost? You know what I'm saying? One way or another, we're spending money to get the details.
Well, we have, okay, you're gonna
This
bid,
isn't enough to ask, because otherwise we may as well just ask for $600,000 because,
if you're gonna build it,
you
you
know,
have to bid it, it has to be public
but
bid,
we wouldn't be able to get that.
okay? And the 95,000, whatever, the bathroom, you do the same process.
Mhm.
Except I acted as the construction manager on it, so we didn't have to pay the construction part of it, but the design part, 9,000, I believe.
It was like under 7.
7,000, okay? But if you have to do the design and construction administration and bid it, and the shop drawing, whatever, I think you call out the 15%, I think you said, you did it, sir.
Yes.
He did, yeah, you're right, he did.
Yeah, so that's 60,000 bucks. So, but, is that giving you a better number? Not necessarily. I think the actual cover letter explaining how, what, where, and why, the video or pictures of the facilities, and the document that we paid for with P.O. Henry that shows this, his words, they ain't our words, he's the expert. You know, it's 400 or 500.
And at the budget meeting in an elected, or special elected meeting, you say, this is our estimate, and based on inflation, we need to buffer by 20%. This 500,000 plus 20%. Which would be our inflation.
In order to get the go ahead.
Approval, yes.
I know right now in the labor field, we just worked at our planning for next year, and labor is anywhere from 8 to 20%.
And he did factor in, you know, where the construction costs were. Now, when he did this, and it's only a couple months ago, in July, mid-July, you gotta remember the peak, you know, the rate was coming down some, but he did not anticipate further lower, and he kind of stopped right there, so that's, this is the construction costs right there. Will they continue to go up? Will they go down?
We haven't got to the election.
Yeah, all of that, all of that. So what I'm hearing is we gotta get out the information, to the masses, and it's gonna be part of a line item in the budget. We will public hearing for the budget. That's-
And I think we should call it the budget hearing slash special meeting.
And that's how it's noticed, it's already noticed that way.
Special electric meeting?
Public budget hearing, meeting of, a special meeting of the electors, it's already noticed that way.
Okay. But we need everyone to spread the word.
Please. That's the best way to word it all, if you're here, you have the information that we know, so that would be fantastic.
Do you need any kind of motion?
You work together that, Caroline? And I have more information, to get to you, but that's gonna get out by the end of this month. That's- we're looking at for a year.
So we want a cover letter
I think it should be, I
before we put out the keyhole
think it goes with it.
estimate. We want to
And
make sure we have.
the keynote estimate, this was in the packets that were on the website, it wasn't.
But we'll call
We got it back.
Yeah.
And we could add an item also under like the meeting, there's like 3 extra columns, I can't remember what they all are. But we could add that information and that cover letter in that space as well as news and notices. There's a few places people can find it on the website. You know, under tonight's meeting information, there's a column that we could add some information. And then, again, news and notices and spotlight,
Get a video up, like Michelle said, a video up there walking through
yeah,
the.
I mean, Jim could sit there and we could have a pretend defendant sitting there and this is where our pretrial motion hearings could take place or conversations, whatever they're called.
You know, one thing, is we have somebody in the room that
That's
really
right.
can tell you about how small the space is, you know, video, you just like this, to have somebody standing there, you know.
Oh, yeah, you can look in Jen's office and see how.
No,
Tight
yeah,
it is.
basically, when you're walking through or, you know, around the
Yeah.
back, you just, I think we.
Okay, well, we're gonna work on that, and, hopefully, we'll get something out. We want, our target will be, before this month is done, hand it out, and then it's gonna be distributed, whatever we have to do.
And repetitive.
Okay,